to ask you a question. And after I ask the question, I'm going to count down from 3 pretty quick. And on 1, I want you to shout out whatever answer comes first to your mind. So, here's a question. You're real excited. It's not that deep. What is the last song that got stuck in your head? Ready? 3, 2, 1.
Some by Bruno Mars.
I don't know what you guys are listening to. You guys were waiting for that. You guys were waiting for that. But you all know what I'm talking about, right? You all know that when there's a song that's replaying in your head over and over, and it seems like there's nothing that you can do to get rid of it. Maybe right now the song that's stuck in your head might be some new country Beyonce. Or it's Jay-Z's. It is Jordan's. Maybe it's Pitbull and Dolly. I don't know what's going on, but maybe it's let's talk about sex. It could be any number of those things. And sometimes a song that you love, and sometimes it's a song that you really, really don't like. This actually happened to me literally on Tuesday before I even started writing this. I was on my way into work, and for some reason the song popped into my head from like 2010. It was this really cringy Christian song that the first time I ever heard it, I was like, 11 or 12, and my mom and I made fun of it relentlessly. For like the next, 5 to 7 years, we made fun of how bad this song was. And it lasted on the radio for maybe like a week, which is pretty bad for Christian radio because they'll play the same song for like 15 years. It lasted like a week before I never heard it again, ever. And it's so horrible. I was texting my mom. I was like, what is the song? I can't remember it. And then I found it. And I'm not going to like play the song or anything, but if you want to go listen to it later, it's called Human by Natalie Grant. It is truly terrible. The lyrics to it are so bad, but I listened to it for maybe 30 seconds. Maybe 30 seconds, and it has been stuck in my head since yesterday morning. And it irritates me so much because I'm like, I hated this song. I haven't thought about it for like 12 years maybe. And all of a sudden, it's stuck in my head because I listened to it for like 30 seconds. And maybe you spend like too much time on TikTok or something, so it might not even be a full song, but maybe you have some super viral audio that's just stuck in your head and keeps replaying over and over and over. But it's not just music or sounds. There are things that we could want that just get stuck in our head. Sometimes I just really want a Chick-fil-A sandwich. And a Chick-fil-A sandwich is all I can think about until I get a Chick-fil-A sandwich. Maybe you really start thinking about the idea of a new pair of shoes. You're like, oh, there's some new shoes that just dropped. Like, I really want, and you can't think about anything else except for that new pair of shoes. We all get the idea of something living in our head rent-free, whether that's a thing, a person, or an idea. In this series, Potential, we're talking about dating and relationships. You may not call it dating, but I'm sure you can figure out what I mean. Well, whatever label you end up putting on it, what we are talking about is the idea of having somebody that you are romantically interested in, and you hope that they are also interested in you. And if you found yourself interested in someone lately, then you know that it's a lot like really wanting a new pair of shoes, or maybe really wanting some sort of food, and it's something that you can't get this person out of your mind, no matter how hard you try. Thinking of them never gets old, or at least never gets old to you, and that's normal, by the way. Like it's normal to have that want, have that desire to have somebody like that in your life, and it doesn't always have to be a bad thing. It only becomes a problem when a person or the idea of having a person becomes an obsession. And how do you know when thinking about someone or something becomes an obsession? See, when you have somebody in your life and they are all you think about, like you're sitting in class and you can't even focus on the book that you guys are reading in English class right now. You are just thinking about that other person. It's when you have somebody in your life and they are the only person that you spend time with, the people who have been closest to you for so long, they haven't seen you in a while. And it's because you're spending most of your free time exclusively with one person. It's when you have somebody in your life and they are all that you talk about. Like you don't even have to like prompt your friends at all. They just know that you are going to talk about them, or you're going to talk about the idea of having them. It's when you don't have somebody in your life, but the idea of having someone takes up your headspace. You're searching, you're waiting, you're hoping to find that person, and you want to talk about it more than anything else. Most people fall into one of two categories when it comes to this issue. They either think, that's not me, I'm not that person, or they think, is it really even that bad? Like, I'm not really hurting anybody else. Like, maybe that's me. Maybe I'm a little bit obsessed, but I'm not hurting anybody, so I'm over here. And then the other people are like, nope, that is not me. And see, there's nothing wrong with having somebody in your life. There's nothing wrong with being excited about it. And if you don't have somebody in your life and you wish you did, there's nothing wrong with that either. But when everything else in your life seems to fade out because of this person, it can become problematic. Why? Because you get distracted. You get distracted. See, there's so much to do in high school, and there's a lot of things that matter. And it's easy to miss out when we're focused on somebody else. We're focused on a relationship or the idea of a relationship. Chances to make memories with your friends, to make memories with your family. Chances that you're just going to miss out on. There's chances to develop your talents and your strengths. And even chances to meet new people and have influence with others. Being too focused on any one thing, whether it's a person, a relationship, or a hobby, is really never a good idea because you get distracted. It can also become problematic because you start to push people away. Your friends aren't stupid. Whether you realize it or not, they can tell when you're having girls' night or you're having guys' night and all you're doing is sitting in the corner texting somebody else. You may be like, I want to be here, I want to hang out with you, but what you're communicating is that person is more important than anybody else who's in the room. And so your friends are not dumb. You're pushing them away even if you're not intentionally doing it. You start to push your friends away. And we've all been around people who act like they're the married couple while they're in high school, right? And even though maybe you think, oh, it's kind of romantic, it's also a little bit weird, right? We've seen people give up on friends. We've seen people give up on sports, seen people even push people out of their lives just so that they can have that relationship. And deep down, you know, and they probably know, that they are missing out. The question is, what do you do about it? You can't not care about somebody if you care about them, right? I mean, isn't it like the whole point of dating? And how much is a good amount and how much isn't? Well, we're going to be looking at a passage of a letter written by the Apostle Paul. Paul wrote almost half of the New Testament. And all these letters were to emerging faith communities in the first century. And it's good for you to know that Paul's motivation was always out of love. Whenever Paul wrote to somebody, it was because he loved the people who were there, and he wanted them to have the most success they could. He wanted the people to love God. He wanted them to love each other and live better lives, which is something that we want for you too. And see, the letter that we're going to read from today is to a church in a town called Ephesus, which was a very diverse place in what is now modern-day Turkey. So we're going to be in Ephesians 5:15. What I really want to encourage you to do, I encourage you to take your phone out if you didn't bring a physical Bible with you and actually go to Ephesians 5:15. I think it's really important for us to actually see what we are reading. Maybe something sticks out to you. You want to highlight it, make a note to come back to it later. But I encourage you, open your phone, go to Ephesians 5:15. And while you guys are getting there, I'm just going to say that dating as well, or as we know it today, did not exist at this point in history. Like, dating was extremely different in the first century than it is now. Like, dating was really just kind of like, I'm with somebody until I marry them. And it was kind of set up. So there's not a whole lot of explicit, specific information about dating written in Scripture, but there are still pieces of wisdom that we can take from what Paul wrote that can help us in our dating relationships today. Paul starts with this: be very careful then how you live, not as unwise, but as wise. Paul is basically saying, pay attention to how you are living your life. Don't just let life happen to you. And as you choose how to live, wise is better than unwise. Wisdom is important when we're talking about dating because having someone in your life is rarely as easy as right or wrong. Most of the time, dating decisions have more to do with wise or unwise. And it's rarely about, is that person good or bad, and much more about, are they good for me? Or are they good for me right now? Paul is encouraging his audience to pay attention to what you do and make the wisest choices that you can. And this principle can be applied to just about anything in our lives, our friendships, our school, our schedule, our athletics. But for today's sake, we're going to ask some questions for when it comes to dating. And those questions are, at what point does being interested in someone or the idea of having someone cross the line into obsession? And when it comes to my interest in dating, how close am I to that line? I mean, you can literally think of a physical line like there's one side that's interest and one side that's obsessed. You're like for example, following somebody on Instagram. You're probably just interested in them, right? You know, you want to see what they're doing. Maybe they post every once in a while. You want to go like it. Maybe they'll notice your name because you like their post. Following somebody on Instagram, interested. Now, checking their Snapchat story constantly to see if they post anything so you can see what they're doing today, that might be getting a little bit over here to obsessed. Like, that's a little bit too much. You might say, saying hello to them in the hallway as you're walking past. Interested. Let them see your face. You're like, oh, hey, how are you? And you're walking by. Great. Interested, easy to do. Now, if you're late to every single class because you have to go walk them from one class to the other, and then you are always late to every single class, a little bit on the obsessed side, if you ask me. Sending someone a good night text. Simply good night. Nothing else. No emojis. No nothing. Just good night. I hope you sleep well. Interested. Having someone's face on your pillow, probably a little bit more on the obsessed side. Yeah, all these are possibilities. Maybe a little bit of the extreme, but here, listen. Paul wasn't done. Paul continues. He says, making the most of every opportunity because the days are evil. And you're like, what is Paul saying? The days are evil? Like, what does that mean? Is he saying that the world is falling apart? No, he's not saying evil in the way that we think of evil. In Greek, which is the original language that this letter was written in, Paul uses a word that's closer to annoying or difficult or time-consuming. In other words, your time gets taken up by so many different things, it's important to make the most out of the time that you have left. Paul is simply pointing out that we have a habit of wasting time. And it's true for people in the first century, and it's true for people now. We all know what it's like to waste time on the wrong things, and we don't realize it until it's too late. And sometimes it's not a big deal, but sometimes we miss out on the stuff that really matters. Paul wants his readers and us to make the most out of the time that we have. And when it comes to high school, this is important. You see, high school is a unique part of your life, and a part of your life that you will never get to experience again. And some of you are like, thank God I don't have to experience this again. And some of you, once you get past it, you're going to be like, man, those were some great days. I wish I could go back. And what Paul is trying to say is don't miss the opportunity. Don't waste your time on something that ultimately doesn't matter. Don't look back and say, I missed time with my friends because I was distracted by somebody I was in a relationship with. Or don't end up saying, it sounds like it was fun. I don't remember much of it because I just hung out with the same person all the time. You have a chance to encourage your friends, to influence people who are younger than you. You have the chance to develop yourself in so many different ways while you're in high school that dating can be an amazing part of that. But when it takes up too much space and too much time, it has the potential to leave you or the other person with hurt and regret. In other words, God is at work in your life. And God wants to use you in specific ways here and today while you're in high school. And while dating can be a part of that, it can also distract you from what God wants to do in your life. So to make the best use of your time while you're in high school, one thing that you can take away from Paul's encouragement to us is this: nothing in life should hold you back from the rest of your life. And I'm going to be honest, it's not a knock on the person that you're with. Like it's not a knock on the person who you're dating. It doesn't mean that relationships or your current relationship or your future relationship, it doesn't mean it doesn't have potential. But it does mean that the more we make someone our entire focus of our life, the more potential we have to miss out on other things that also matter to us. And don't miss this. This is really important because another human being is not meant to carry the weight of all your emotional needs. That is too much for one person to carry. Most people cannot carry the emotional needs that they have for themselves, whether they're in high school or they're in college or they're young adults. As your brain is developing, you're going to have higher emotions. We just got done talking about this in our last series. And you can't take on somebody else's emotions, and you can't give your emotions to somebody else because a high school girl or a high school boy, they can't handle it. And a college girl or a college boy, they can't handle it. You have to figure out your emotions. You can't throw them to somebody else and hope that they are able to carry them for you. If dating is something that you're using so much of your time either with somebody or thinking about somebody, maybe this is a hint for you that you need to take a step back and reevaluate where you are and reevaluate where your focus is. Here's what that can look like. 1, broaden your focus. When we become obsessed with a person or we become obsessed with the idea of dating someone, we can lose all senses of our perspective. And we need to get back to start living a life that includes more than just one person. Expand your world, broaden your focus outside of the person you are dating or outside of the person that you are interested in dating. If you're currently in a relationship, don't forget about the people around you. Don't ditch your friends. Don't leave friendships so that you can spend more time with someone else. Don't abandon your family. Don't lose interest in the people that have been important for you for your entire life. It can be easy to spend all the time that you have, all the extra time that you have with that person because you care about them. And it's good to spend time with them, but you need to spend time with the people who matter, like your friends, like your family. Those people who are close to you, you need to spend time with them too. And relationships can be awesome, but don't let other relationships drop off along the way. And if you aren't dating anyone, don't make it your main goal. Like if you're not dating anybody, don't say that my main goal for this year is to find a boyfriend or a girlfriend. It should not be your main goal. Your main goal should be trying to do well in school. Your main goal should be growing in your relationship with Jesus. And if you meet somebody along the way who you could see yourself being with, dating, or just being interested in, whatever label you want to put on it, like if you find that person, great. But don't make it your main goal. And here's the reality. If you are not happy with the person who you are when you're not dating somebody, guess what? When you're dating someone, you're still not going to be happy. It's the truth. If you're not happy with the person who you are right now, without a significant other, that significant other is not automatically going to make you happy with yourself. Before you're in a dating relationship, if you're not happy with yourself, you can't expect them to make you happy. Don't make dating your main goal. But if you find somebody along the way, great. But don't let that be the end goal. Listen, dating can be a really good thing. Don't miss out on being in high school because you're taking dating so seriously. You have time. You have time to take dating really seriously. And I hope for those of you who are in a relationship that you would be serious, that you would have serious conversations, but don't make that person your everything. Make them a part of your life. But don't kick people out. Don't focus in just on them. And don't make dating your main goal. Remember, nothing in life should keep you from the rest of your life. And that includes relationships. And tonight, if you feel like that's me, if you feel like I've been interested in this person and it's gotten a little over-interested and now it's in obsessed. Or maybe you're like, I've been interested in the idea, but now I can only think about dating someone. I just want to date somebody so bad. If tonight you're like, that's me, I encourage you, pull your leader aside. Pull your leader aside tonight and just simply say, I think I need to broaden my focus. I think I need to think about somebody else that's not the person I'm with, or I need to stop having dating be my end goal. And sometimes just talking it out with a leader can make a world of a difference. So remember, nothing in life should keep you from the rest of